I believe that there is a divine intelligence. There is something that knows what's best for us better than we do. What I discovered with each miracle, which I defined as getting exactly what you need at just the right time, was precipitated by a coincidence. You know, whatever it is you want, just ask little Jesus.
Well, hello, everyone. This is Martin Pytela for Life Enthusiast Podcast. And today, on a path less traveled, with me is Sophia Demas, or Demas, if you want to have it in French. And she is a hero to me. Well, if you have a lot of preconceived ideas about God, religion, and spirituality, you may find this either surprising or insightful, or offensive. Prepare yourself. Sophia, welcome.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Yes, I'm loving it. I'm loving the chance of speaking to someone who's had a chance to talk to the spheres that most of us do not hear clearly. That, to me, is great. So tell me, the beginning. The beginning was you were 19 years old and?
So I was 19 years old. And I was angsting over two existential issues that I believed were unsolvable. And I was just consumed by this. And what happened, within 2 months, a man appeared, and then I had a dream. And I will the bullet version of the dream was that I was on a stage with wearing a wedding dress, and marriage was always seemed very unsavory to me. So there was no groom, but me in a wedding dress and these people in the audience. And then it was an absolutely remarkable dream. And then at the very end, people are coming by me, and I am interpreting it as a reception line. But I look down, and I'm wearing the wedding dress, but I'm in a coffin. And so these people were paying their last respects. And I just had a panic attack that this, was foretelling my imminent death. And I was wondering how it was going to happen. And I couldn't stand it. So I got up and I went to this man's house at 1:30 in the morning. I was very attracted to him, but I was sort of living my mother's law of being a virgin until you're married. Okay. And I thought, wait a second, if I'm not going to get married, am I going to die a virgin? No, anyway. Okay, that was one of the issues. Okay. So I go to this man's house and he sits me down and he says to me, this has nothing to do with physical death. He says, what this is telling you is that there are beliefs that no longer work for you. So it's the death of those beliefs and to make room for the ones that do work for you. And then he proceeds to read these poems he had written about me, like knowing how I was feeling better than I did. So anyway, at the end of the 2 months, both of my issues were solved. And I had transformed. I had entered womanhood, and that wasn't lost on me. I mean, it was like, how? And then the guy kind of, we just the whole thing dissipated. I mean, he was doing his PhD. I was a party girl. It just, I can only listen to universal theories to a point, So anyway, but it was like, he was almost like an angel. Like he appeared and disappeared. And I was transformed. So
So what was the upshot of this? So you're transformed how?
So it was just my perception of the world transformed.
Right.
And so what happened is I began paying attention. Mm-hmm. So that is one of the takeaways is, so my belief system, if I can just put it into like an umbrella. So I believe that there is an divine intelligence.
All right.
There is something that knows what's best for us better than we do. And this entity, God, whatever you want to call it, I mean, it is not a respectful word.
Well, it's not a man and not a woman. So some
Yeah.
people call it Father, Mother, God. Or...
Right. Yeah. So I believe that this entity communicates with us via consciousness and our intuition, and via dreams, putting a stranger in front of us that says exactly what we need to hear, or coincidences. Puts coincidences in our path to nudge us. Okay. So when I was told I was going to write a book, which did not appeal to me at all, it was this world famous medium.
Party girl gets told you'll be writing a book.
Well, the party girl evolved. Okay. I mean, we kind of left that behind.
Well, we do, right? But still, when you're told it was against your grain, right?
It was absolutely. And I remember thinking, just because, you're world famous doesn't mean you get it right every time. And I told her, I said, I have nothing to write about. And I'm a people person, and I'm not going to sequester myself somewhere and write. And so she listened to me. And then she said, Spirit says when she's ready, there are many spirits here to help her and many hands on earth. So what happened was in 2011, I was talking on the phone, and every time I would tell a friend one of my miracles, they would always say, oh, these things only happen to you, which I found kind of annoying because I'm not special.
Well, yeah, you're special in your own way. So, but hold on, in 2011, you were well past 19 or 20.
Oh, yes.
So you waited many years?
Oh, yes. I did not want to write a book. And I did not. So in
2011, you were ready?
I'm sorry?
So in 2011, you were ready?
Well, okay. So I was reconnecting with a childhood friend, and I told her about my latest miracle. And she says, well, these things only happen to you.
All right.
This time, something clicked. And I'm like, because the sheer number of events is what grabbed me. So I sat down and I wrote all of the miracles that I could think of. And what I discovered was each miracle, which I defined as getting exactly what you need at just the right time, was precipitated by a coincidence. And when I realized that what I had done is taken action on the coincidence,
right.
then it was like divine intelligence and I co-created the miracle. And that's when I decided to let people know that this cannot be accessible only to me. It's there for everyone. But I believe that it's the paying attention and taking action.
So now you're putting the words of Christ into action. These things and more you will be able to do, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, this is where all of us, each one of us individually, are allegedly capable of acting on and pulling in the force of creation into our centers and acting on it, right?
Yes. And, someone asked me, they said, everybody has, like a coincidence story or a miracle story or, getting signs from your departed loved ones. But why do you think so many happen to you? And I meditated on this, and I believe that I'm going to credit my mother for it, because my mother was very religious, but she never pushed it on me. Mm-hmm. But what she would say since I was a toddler, in Greek is my first language. So you can take any word and make it into a diminutive. So the glass can be the little glass, or So
Yeah, I'm from a first language where this was absolutely like that. My first language is Czech.
yes.
And
Okay.
yeah, interesting enough, though. Yeah,
So
there are
yeah,
so many linguistic things you can do that in English are nearly impossible.
yes. So what she presented was she would say, "Now, if you want something, whatever it is you want, just ask little Jesus. Just ask little Jesus, and he will do what is best for you.
All right.
And if you're scared, like sometimes at night, you get scared of the night, just ask the little Virgin Mary to protect you." So what happened, I think, is from a very, very young age, I got talking to unseen beings was perfectly normal. So I that's the only thing I can think of.
All right. Okay. And so your mother was Orthodox Eastern, right?
Yes.
All right. Cool. Yeah. The Constantinople Christians.
Yes.
All right. No worries. And so here we are. So you took a lifetime to finally arrive to the mission. You didn't write just one book, right?
Well, what happened, I didn't know how to organize a book. Okay. It's not my thing. So my husband kept saying, just write everything down, and then we can chop it later. So that's what I did. And there were so many events to cram into one book that I pulled out all the ones that had to do with death. So the title of the first book is The Divine Language of Coincidence: How Miracles Transformed My Life After I Began Paying Attention. And the second book is Consciousness Beyond Death: True Stories of Signs, Messages, and Timing. And what's super interesting to me is that scientists are interested now in both of my books. So there is a outfit in the UK called the Scientific and Medical Network, and it's a group of esteemed scientists that study the paranormal.
Right.
And they invited me to join their group and to help plan and participate in the Synchronicity Summit. And what is so interesting is because I knew that scientists studied consciousness, but I had no idea that they studied coincidence. So that's like the trendy thing. And but they were not interested in the second book.
All right. Well, you put in the magical word in synchronicity, right? Where
Yes.
we already know that research has been done that thought travels in a scalar manner instantly. It pops, right? You could be on the moon.
Well, that's entanglement. In quantum mechanics, that's called entanglement.
Yeah, now you're throwing the quantum mechanics into it. But the point of that is scalar wave and how it travels instantly. It's a standing wave. And we can be across the planet or another planet, and we will have the instant thought transfer. It will pop in both places at the same time. That is what these scientists are really interested in.
Right.
They don't really want to talk about where the soul goes after it leaves the body. That's just a little too scary for them. But
now we have a shift. So there's this one scientist who's he's a neurosurgeon. His name is Dr. Eben Alexander, and he wrote this book, Proof of Heaven.
All right.
So he read my first book and loved it, and asked me to send the manuscript of the second book so he could endorse it. So he writes back and says, "I'm sorry, I cannot endorse your book because there's not sufficient discussion of consciousness." Now, that was BS, but it was code for I can be a scientist, have a near-death experience, go to heaven, come back and write about it, because NDEs have been studied for decades. Right. But I can't touch your book with a 10-foot pole. Well, lucky for me, just before publication of the second book, a new field of study, scientific study, has cropped up, ADC. after death communication.
All right.
So now they're all interested in the book, and that is just gurgling up.
So some external party has brought out this after death communication effect, and now it's okay to talk about it. Yeah.
Yes, now it's okay.
All right. Cool. Well, let's talk about it. Okay. So let's see here. So there are these two books that you do. You have more?
No.
Good. So one is about how to live your life in such a way that you actually end up building on the coincidences instead of ignoring them. Did I get it right?
Yes, you did. Yes.
And the second one is when you hear from your dead grandmother, don't ignore it.
Exactly. And sometimes you can't. In fact, I'm going to tell you two of these communications that happened after I wrote the book. So they're not in the book.
All right.
But when you mentioned grandmother, you jostled me. Okay, so I went to the ophthalmologist and I told her about my book. And she says, well, I have a story for you. I go, okay. She said, I had to go to a gala with my husband and I did not want to go. I was dead tired. I didn't want to go, but we had to go to the gala. So after the gala, I had to take the babysitter home because it's my husband's rule never to be alone with a female babysitter. She said, on my way back, all of a sudden, she said, I heard my grandmother scream, wake up. She said, I came to and I was going right into a brick wall and she was able to put the brakes on.
All right. That's a good one.
Okay. So that is an unsolicited, spontaneous communication. She did not ask for this and she was unconscious. Okay.
Yeah. She was out.
The other one happened to me and I did ask for it. So about 6 months ago, I lost one of my oldest and dearest friends. Somebody you just accept that you're going to grow old with, just this global person, she's a magnificent person. And so I had to deal with it by just thinking, well, it's just, another one of her adventures. And when it's my turn, we'll meet up.
All right.
So this was about, I don't know, a month ago or something. I'm walking down the street thinking of her intently. And I found myself saying, Pushpa, she's of East Indian descent. If there's anyone who's going to give me a sign, it's you. I said, maybe this is too soon, but when you're ready, I want a sign from you. I swear to you, Martin, the very next morning, I received a Facebook friend request from her. Now, it's happened before.
From her account.
Her.
Yeah.
Now, it's happened before that somebody has sent a friend request who's already a friend, but there's no photo of them.
Right.
Like they want to hack your account or something.
Yeah.
Well, there was a photo of her, but the timing.
Yeah, the timing is interesting. She may have organized some spammer to hack into her old account and clone it and send friend request, but it came to you. I mean, you asked for a sign. If this is not a sign, I don't know what is.
Yeah, exactly. And so it doesn't matter. I mean, everyone can say, "Oh, well, it was a coincidence."
Sure.
Sorry, the timing was everything. So
well, it was a coincidence, but that's what matters.
Okay, there's excellent. I want to make the point that there's coincidence and there's meaningful coincidence. Okay. So like the other day, I don't remember the word, but I was typing and I typed a word and it wasn't like an everyday word, and at this very same instant, somebody on the television uttered that word. But so what?
Yeah.
But when it's a coincidence and it's bigger than you, people say, well, when do you know how to act on it? You don't evaluate. It's bigger than me. I have to act, So it's the meaningful coincidence.
Yeah. I remember somebody was flipping through a book of tales, stories. And there was a story about an Indian princess, and there was an illustration of a young woman to be the princess. And I looked at that and said, I know her. This is somebody I know. But of course, I did not know her from this life. Not a chance. I never met an Indian person because I grew up in a country there were no Indians. But anyway, I looked at, years later, I'm looking at the picture and it's like, wow. So this to me was like, okay, why is it in my consciousness? Why do I know her so well? And then I had a second one, and I'll tell you this.
Yes.
My wife and I were doing a tour of Big Sur in California, and there's a Hearst estate there.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. William Randolph Hearst collected a whole bunch of stuff from around the
art. Yes.
Art. He just bought stuff. Anyway, we're walking the tour, and I turn a corner. I'm face to face with an onyx cat, Egyptian stuff. I knew instantly every fold of that creature and exactly how I made it. Right?
Really? Oh, wow.
All of it. So I'm thinking, well, I guess I spent some time in an Egyptian body of a stonemason or stone artisan, right? Anyway, stuff like that.
But that to me is reality.
Well, it's out there, right? It's me in a different fold of the...
In a different life. Yeah. See, there's so much that we don't know, but people think that they know, but we really don't.
Right. Okay, so tease me some more about the books. Why do I want to buy it? Why do I want to read it? What's fun about it?
Okay, maybe what I should do is give you two little short stories of how the coincidence happened, the action I took, and the results, which is the miracle.
Right.
Okay, so, and I don't find one story bigger or lesser than the other. Even something small, if it begets me a miracle, it's the same.
Right.
Okay, so these two events happened before my wedding. Okay, so my husband and I, we decided to get married on 4th of July, and the date we picked was 4th of October. So that's 3 months.
All right.
Okay. Well, all the venues were taken, musicians were all booked, and I thought, I don't care, even a warehouse. I have a friend who's a wedding planner. She could turn it into something nice, and we were called and told that this one venue, the event was canceled and that we could have it for $5,000, which was a lot of money, at the time. And so, okay, so that's where we were. And I was kind of considering it. And I call my friend Anne. And a man answers who's not her husband. So I said, is Anne there? That's all I said. And this man goes, Sophia, is that you? You called me. It's Jerry. You called me. Listen, I'm really late for a meeting. Can I call you later? Now, I knew who Jerry was because he has a Greek accent, okay? But for him to recognize my voice was pretty astounding. So I said, Jerry, promise me you will call me back. He goes, I promise. I said, before you go, what's your telephone number? So I had misdialed by the last digit.
All right.
Okay. All right. So he calls back. And we start talking, and I told him that I was getting married and that the Mutter Museum had a cancellation. And well, this guy at the time owned the Barclay Hotel here in Rittenhouse Square. It was one of these old world hotels, and so he says, oh, forget it. He goes, you can have the ballroom, except and he threw in the presidential suite for 2 nights. And then he says, but I had to agree to invite him and his girlfriend to the wedding.
Well,
okay,
right.
Okay, so that's one. Okay. Right. And then you can tell me which one you think is stranger. So I'm in my studio and I get a phone call from a woman who says, I found your driver's license in the park. by my house. I said, oh, thank you, and she had to do some digging because it was an Oregon driver's license. And so she says, how can I get it to you? And we discovered that she only lived a couple blocks away, which makes sense. And I said, well, just put it through my mail slot. End of story. But it wasn't the end of the story. About 2 months later, I get a call from the same woman who says to me, I know you're going to find this a little strange, but I just found your ATM card. Now, I don't go around losing,
No.
cards, but lo and behold, I would go to this ATM machine that would spit out the card right away.
All right.
But this one kept it. And then at the end says, do you need another transaction? Well, I thought I had it and I'm off. And the next person can completely clean out my bank account. But it was her. It was her. Okay. And so she says, would you like me to put it through the mail slot? I go, no, we've got to meet. We have to meet.
Yes.
Come over to my studio. So she had left me a little note with the driver's license that how much she liked Oregon. So I had this handmade soap from Oregon, gave her the soap. We started chatting. Turns out she's a concert violinist. And as a result of that meeting, she got her friend, who's a classical guitarist, to play my favorite piece of music, Concierto de Aranjuez, as I'm walking down the aisle.
Okay. Yeah, follow the thread, right?
Okay, so which do you think is maybe stranger?
Well, the second card is definitely a bigger deal.
Okay, all right. Now, see, here is the takeaway. Okay, when Jerry said, "I'll call you later," I could have so easily said, "Oh no, it's a wrong number." I mean, yeah, it's wild. What a coincidence. But I have nothing to talk to you about. I mean, this was a wrong number. And when she said, "Should I slide it into the slot?" I said, "Yeah, thank you so much. What a wild coincidence."
Yeah.
So that is the nuance, is to take some kind of action.
Yeah, but the nuance for me is that universe insists.
Yes. But you have, okay, now that you said that, okay, I have broken one's spiritual journey in 3 levels. Okay, so level 1 is from the perspective of wishful thinking. Okay, I wish this.
Yeah.
And there comes the coincidence, and oh, wow, what a coincidence. And you let it go. Keep on wishing. Next thing, dream. Oh, wow, that was wild. Next. So you just keep on wishing. So the next level is from the perspective of hope. Now you get it. Okay, so you recognize the coincidence, you take action, and hope that you will get exactly what you need.
Right.
And then the ultimate is from the position of faith. And I think once you get to that, it didn't come easy for me, okay?
Right.
But there's no other way than what has happened to me. So with faith, you don't worry anymore. You just don't worry. If you get an obstacle, it's for your own good. If you do the action, you know that something will happen for your own growth. So I believe that it's this intuition that we have, the inner voice, that the more you do what it says and you get the benefit, the more you trust it.
Yeah.
And that's how faith grows.
Faith is built on, faith is more like an expectation. I'll share this one. I used to work downtown and I needed to go to a specific building oftentimes. And I didn't need to go there for long. I just needed to go in, pick some stuff up and come back out. Anyway, I would make a parking spot in front of the building because it was convenient for me not to have to chase around parking garages and whatever. I just wanted to be able to pull up to a parking meter and do the thing. Anyway, so it usually was like 10 minutes before I would put the thought out. I am expecting a parking spot within short distance from the door of that building. and it would be there.
Oh, it's your parking angel.
Yeah, parking angel, if you will. But I remember the one where I'm arriving and I say, "Where is it?" And the car just as I'm arriving, the car puts up the blinker and he's going to be pulling out right there.
Yes.
Right.
So now you got exactly what you needed at just the right time.
Yeah.
Now there is this one I'm not going to break down, but so my husband, I found out shortly after I met him that he was a rager. He raged. He's this wonderful, mild-mannered man who would perceive something as a put down and then would rage. This is all because of childhood issues.
Right.
And the reason I stayed is because I saw how much he wanted the relationship. He found the great therapist. He found a men's group full of ragers. But eventually, I just wanted to leave. I left him and I moved in with my friend who was going through a divorce. Anyway, 3 absolutely incredible coincidences happened. Truly incredible, that disarmed me enough to agree to see him. Okay. And as a result of the third, there were 2 things. There was me being able to trust him enough to go on this trip to Hawaii so I could be the maid of honor for my best friend for the 3rd time. And what happened, it's a miracle, because that was in 2009 and we got back together. There has been not one anger episode since. I'm married to my dream guy. So how does that work? Well,
I don't know how he shifted. He must have shifted somewhere, right?
He did. He shifted.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yep. So that the first 2 stories are, nice. They're real events that brought me what I needed. But saving my marriage,
it's a big one,
more important. So I would say that there's more importance to that.
Okay, so let me try and ask it this way. So when I'm finished reading your book, what will I have learned?
You will, I believe that, say that you're a skeptic, okay? I would say that there's food for thought that you too could experience these things.
All right. How to look for these things and see them and experience them and take advantage of them.
Yeah. And then the stories in the second book, there's 10 chapters. 7 are my experiences and 3 are close friends. And from those 3, I can never select which one is the strangest. There's no doubt in my mind. There's no doubt in my mind that that our loved ones, depending, sometimes, they don't want to engage, and some want to engage. Mm-hmm. And so it's and what that tells me is that when we die, we simply shed our bodies, and we are as lucid and conscious as we are right now. And then we can communicate with the loved ones we left behind. Mm-hmm. So it's very, very encouraging to me.
Yeah. So I'm disappointed in my mother because I clearly asked her to let me know how she's doing. And I've noticed nothing.
Are you sure?
Well, either she's not tried or I'm too deaf to see or deaf to hear. I don't know.
Well, my what I would say to you is keep asking. Keep asking,
Okay, I will ask again.
It's just and then pay attention.
All right, I will pay attention.
Okay, good.
Awesome. Well, so we are going to put the links to where these books can be had in the show notes. But you can say, do you have your own website or do you sell it mostly on public sellers?
Well, it's all out there in retail, Amazon, Barnes and Noble, and
okay.
But my website, is you can get them through my website, and it goes straight to Amazon, and that's just my name, Sophia Demas.
All right.
So .com.
All right.
And also, it's really if you find yourself on my website, I would ask that you go to the page that says My Influencers. Okay, especially if you're interested in mysticism. So there's 8 people that I have had personal contact with that I consider to be my mentors. If you're going to read just one blurb, read the one about Abbess Ameliani. She's the nun, you can't miss her. But I'm telling you, it is a first-hand story of bilocation.
All right.
Okay.
The mysteries of the universe. They're
Yes.
so much more than what the science would tell us.
Yes.
Yep.
But they're catching up. The scientists are catching up to us.
Some are really trying. There are some that are just so mechanistic. They will not accept consciousness as anything. And there are others that are well awake to the fact that you can move the universe with the power of your mind.
Yes. In fact, the Synchronicity Summit that I was on was so well received that they published a book of essays by these scientists. Mine is included. I'm chapter 17. But if you read them, they come across as like they're conversions, religious conversions. Like, I used to be a materialistic scientist, but these events have changed my perception, and it's very interesting. And the book is called The Playful Universe.
Right. Yeah. In my world, it's the inner world and the outer world, the world of thought and the world of physical manifestation. And it's always, for me, you solve it on the inner, the outer will follow.
Oh, so manifesting. Yes. Yes, I believe that.
All right. Well, we're in agreement. Sophia, this has been a delightful conversation. I certainly hope that people that are listening to it will go find your website, Sophia Demas, Demas, Sophia with a PH, and read books and discover just how much more there is to the universe than what we're taught in school.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. This is Martin Pytela. You will find me at life-enthusiast.com. Thank you for listening today.